Yo, yo, yo! Welcome back to the MMA Short Show. It's always your boy, Steven Moustaris. And man, after UFC 304 this weekend, watching Tom Aspinall in a blink of an eye take out the one guy that we thought might take him to the third, fourth round, maybe even a decision, maybe just to be the first one to truly test this guy, in Curtis Blades. And this man goes out there and a minute flat takes him out. And now we're sitting here just like, holy crap, man. The only fight we want to see now is the Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall fight. And it just has me laughing a little bit because, we can go back and look at just not even the UFC 304 press conference, but the last few where this man Dana White just out of nowhere starting to back up Jon Jones, starting to call him the GOAT all of a sudden, starting to fight for his undefeated record to come back out after the whole 12-6 at Oboe. Like, this man's been backing Jon Jones more than Jon Jones backs himself.
World. For anybody to call Islam the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world when Jon Jones is still fucking fighting is nuts and shouldn't be ranking in the pound for pound or doing any of the fucking rankings ever. There's no doubt about that the guy's got the talent. But when you start talking, he won this fight tonight, he could be the greatest of all time. Again, you know how I feel about Jon Jones. It's just, you got some big shoes to fill and you got a lot of people to wreck, before you even start talking about even being within Jon Jones' universe.
And it's sad because instead of him going out there and, dominating in his hometown, revamping the crowd, going out there proving why he is the man, taking out a guy that not many people take out, instead of him hyping up the next fight and building up the future, this man wants to sit there and just completely dismiss what he did. Completely dismiss, even Paddy, Pimblett's performance. Instead, he wants to sit there and just talk about how nobody brought it that night, while he'll never do big bonuses again. And he doesn't even focus on the man. And it's even worse because then he just starts hyping up Jon Jones. And it's so funny to sit here and watch, man, just to see how Dana White's changed up over the years in the UFC in general, because they keep getting bigger and bigger and more successful and more successful. Like, it's so crazy to think 15 years ago, 10 years ago when we're watching the UFC, they were so superstar dependent, man. They needed the Anderson Silvas. They needed the Jon Jones. They needed the Anderson Silvas, or the GSPs, my bad. They needed the Conor McGregors. They needed all these guys, Rampage Jackson, Chuck Liddells. They needed all these guys to fight. And if any of these guys backed out, like we had seen in previous times, they would just completely scrap cards because there wasn't any superstar out there that could keep elevating these fight cards and keep them going. And then it's funny to even look just 2 years ago where Francis Ngannou's at the top of the world at the heavyweight division. The only fight that any fans wanted to see after he beat Ciryl Gane, his last time he was in the UFC, the last thing we saw was, man, the only fight we want to see is Francis Ngannou and Jon Jones. That's the only fight we want to see. There's no other fight that's possible out there. And then Francis, I've always backed him for it. It's been one of the most amazing things to try to see him do what he's been trying to do and be successful the way he has been successful. Yeah, sure, he got knocked out, by Anthony Joshua. But for this man to lay the blueprint out for these MMA fighters in the future, to try to lay the red carpet out for these guys, to try to prove like, hey, just because one organization might be king, like, they don't own you. If you guys want to go do something else in your life or in this combat sports world, if you want to go test yourself in boxing, if you want to go test yourself against another MMA fighter in another promotion, like, you should be able to do this stuff, man. You should be able to do whatever you want. So for him to try to do this stuff was awesome. But it just helped the UFC ultimately out more and more. It's pretty funny to go back and look at it now because, they wouldn't let this man go and box, but yet they're not giving him the Jon Jones fight. And now that we're looking at Tom Aspinall, you're calling him one of the greatest and everything, but we're not even giving him the Jon Jones fight. So why wouldn't we allow them to go box? But anyway, like, if you guys could survive the pound-for-pound king, the #1 heavyweight in the world, Francis Ngannou, if you can survive him leaving as the champion, it just goes to prove why we're sitting here now. And it went from Francis Ngannou versus Jon Jones to Jon Jones versus Ciryl Gane to after Jon Jones starches him real quick. Now it's, man, the only fight out there, it might be the Sergey Pavlovich Jon Jones fight because Sergey was knocking everybody out. And then Tom Aspinall comes out of nowhere and he knocks out Sergey. And now he's knocking everybody out and knocking people dead. And now we're sitting here questioning. The only fight we want to see now is Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. And it's so crazy now to just see how the UFC, now that they know they don't need one certain star, like we just saw with the whole Conor McGregor fight. If Conor 4 years ago, 5 years ago would have backed out of a fight, there was no way that card was surviving. There was no way somebody like Alex Pereira is coming up just last second and saving the card and maybe even making it a little better, maybe elevating it even. Like, there was none of that back in the day. So to see Dana White back when Jon Jones was getting in trouble as the champion and how dependent they were on him, this man, Dana White, was so open about talking bad about Jon Jones, saying he was done with him. He didn't even want to talk about it anymore. After him having to cancel some fights with the whole, Daniel Cormier, I think Rumble Johnson had to back out. He turned down a Chael Sonnen fight last second one time. Like, clearly the hit and runs, all the drug issues, all the, the abuse issues, everything that we've seen with Jon Jones, the headaches, everything. This man, Dana White, used to be sick of him. And now that he doesn't, necessarily need him there, this man's fighting for his undefeated streak, fighting for his GOAT status. He's doing all this stuff, and he's pooping all over this man, Tom Aspinall. You guys are the ones that gave this man the key. You guys are the one that go, you know what? We're waiting for Jon Jones and Stipe to do his thing, but, we're just going to continue this thing and continue to know, like, we don't need certain people to be fighting, so we're going to have Tom Aspinall become an interim champion. We're going to have him defend before the belt even gets defended, the actual belt. And now we're sitting here, they're just got themselves up against the ropes where all the fans, we don't want to see Stipe and Jon Jones anymore. It's only Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall, but the saddest part is no matter if it's a Francis Ngannou, a Tom Aspinall, a Jon Jones, a Conor McGregor, an Alex Pereira, Max Holloway, Aaliyah Tapira, Sean O'Malley, it doesn't matter, any of them, name them all. It doesn't matter who you are anymore. The UFC is going to be so quick to just move on from you and to dismiss whatever we just saw and just to build up the next fight and whatnot. It's kind of sad, man. Instead of building up these guys and, hyping up a Tom Aspinall in the case that Jon Jones does beat him, or if Tom does beat a Jon Jones, to hype that up, it would just make more sense and be way better for the organization. But they've learned, man. After dealing with the whole Conor thing and him taking the keys of the company and kind of biting him in the ass and leaving him out to dry, after seeing what Francis wanted to do, no matter what they do anymore with fighters, you might think you deserve more. You might think you deserve a bigger payday. You might think you have bigger stuff going on. But guess what? The next guy in line who doesn't have anything is fighting to feed his family. They're going to step up and just take the place, man. So it's sad. I don't know if we're really ever going to see the UFC get behind certain people like we used to. And even you guys out there that know that they hype up these Aaliyah Tapiras and Sean O'Malley's and Paddy Pimblett's and, the Shavkat Rakhmanovs and all these guys, all the guys you can possibly think of right now, you best believe if they lose one time, they're just going to move on from them. They're going to dismiss them. They're going to maybe Dana White's been really good recently and just calling people out at bad performances and whatnot. And they're just going to go, see, that's what happens. So if they can survive Francis Ngannou, if they can survive Conor McGregor backing out, if they can survive a Jon Jones not being active, if they can survive an 18-0 prospect like Muhammad Mokaev coming up and, releasing him, I mean, they don't give a crap about anything. So, it's sad for us fans because we know what we want to see, but the UFC knows no matter what, there's always going to be the next guy up, and they don't really need these matchups. So it's always your boy, Steven Moustaris. Y'all let me know what you think, and it's just crazy to see how the UFC's changed over the last few years, man. It's kind of cool because we'll always have the UFC, but it's just sad because these guys that have been putting their blood, sweat, and tears in, they just get forgotten so quick like we've seen with Mighty Mouse and all these guys. So it's always your boy, Steven Moustaris. Let's go, baby.